Well, fighting is ramping up on the outskirts of Kyiv as Russia continues its invasion of Ukraine. Ukrainians are fortifying their capital, and President Zelensky is vowing to stay. Charlie D'Agata is there in Kyiv with the very latest. Charlie, good morning to you. Good morning from here anyways. How close is the Russian convoy from Kyiv?
Oh, well, the Russian convoy itself is pretty much stagnated north of the city. It hasn't really moved. Ukrainian forces have been taking pot shots at it. The foreign ministry or the defense ministry said they've not only sort of hobbled them on the road, but they have flooded the areas around the convoy itself. So some of these vehicles are tracked vehicles. They don't necessarily need a paved road in order to advance, but it has stayed there and stagnated for the past week and a half. And it has not made any progress. It was thought that they would move into combat positions. It hasn't happened yet. And of course, they have resupply and sustainability issues as it goes by day. You know, there's a lot of people. It's a 40-mile convoy. They'll be sleeping in vehicles, and it is easily below freezing here and has been for a number of nights.
So let's talk about the possibility of a ceasefire or these humanitarian corridors. Is any of that going to be happening?
Yeah, Anne-Marie, you know, that is so desperate, and it's desperate in certain areas where the fighting is at its very worst. And we know these cities now. The port city of Mariupol, a ceasefire is in place, but that's the third time they've tried that. In the past, it's only lasted an hour or two before the evacuation route was shelling both sides, blaming each other. Kyiv, again, a battleground, the second city in Ukraine, second largest city in Ukraine, which has come down, which has been hammered. Sumy, which was in our report overnight, that has been taking airstrikes. A number of civilians have been killed there overnight. So these are the hot spots. Now, so there have been different ceasefire declarations for humanitarian evacuation in those particular cities. They're shaky at best. Fingers crossed. We hear that Mariupol is in trouble at the moment. Kyiv is in trouble. And we also have to mention, and we've seen these pictures too, in Irpin, which is just outside the capital itself, that bridge that was taken down by the Ukrainians, and people have been trying to cross there. That has come under mortar and firing from the Russians, even as civilians have been trying to evacuate. That is another area, just that one in particular, where a ceasefire has been declared for the safe passage of civilians there. So you may be seeing that there's been a ceasefire around Kyiv, the capital itself. I can tell you for a fact that's not true, and that's not holding, because there have been air raid sirens and explosions here this morning. But in that particular area where there are thousands of civilians who are trapped in Irpin trying to get out as Russian forces are advancing, we got very close there yesterday. That whole area has come under attack. That ceasefire, as far as we know, it's at least holding, partially holding, in order to enable the evacuation of civilians. And just to give you an idea, when these people are being evacuated, they're evacuating to a safer place, meaning here in the capital. So not a safe place, but just a safer place where they were.
Which means they're going to keep running. Let me ask you about this. President Zelensky asked for any foreign fighters who want to join the fight to come. They are showing up. They're showing up at the border with, Poland. After that point, though, Charlie, is there something sort of organized or an established system? How do these foreign fighters get absorbed into this battle?
Well, I mean, they're planning for it. And we talk about foreign fighters. The foreign ministry said last night that we're talking 20,000 foreign fighters, he believes, are either here or on the way here. And then we also have to add the number of Ukrainian from around the world, including the United States, where thousands in itself, who are all flooding in here. Where are they coming from? Well, Bulgaria, Lithuania, Poland, all these NATO partners, these areas around Russia. They appreciate the Russian threat. They want to stand in solidarity to the people of Ukraine. They are here to fight, not necessarily to raise weapons, but to provide medical care, to provide any other sort of support and logistics, because they need the numbers there. But yeah, you're talking about tens of thousands of men and women who are flooding into this area, largely from Poland. And once they get there, there is a system in place to move these men and women forward to where they're going to be needed most. So in addition to encouraging them, it's not just the Wild West to just come in here. You know, they have to be armed. They have to have a level of training. They're going to have to be assigned to certain areas. Largely, that's not in the West, which hasn't come under attack, at least not yet. They'll be pulling back to areas around the capital to reinforce the capital, possibly down to Odessa, which is going to be the next hot spot, Mariupol, Kyiv, up in the north, Cherniv. Areas where the conflict is taking place and where they need that support most. And you may have mentioned, or we will mention here, President Putin, according to the Pentagon, is recruiting his own fighters. And these are fighters from Syria. You remember there's a huge Russian contingent helping out Bashar Assad in Syria during that conflict, in fact, that ongoing conflict. So now it's sort of payback time. So there are Syrian fighters who've been encouraged to come back sorry, not to come back, but to come to Russia and Ukraine to join in this fight. And what we've already known is that Chechen fighters are involved. And they are some of the most terrifying people. There are groups here, the saboteurs, and the people who've been taking pot shots at journalists, at Ukrainian soldiers, the people who are infiltrating in Kyiv itself. Those are thought to be largely Chechen gangs who have joined this fight. So it's getting complicated, it's getting multi-layered, and it's going to increase in terms of intensity, especially as we edge toward urban combat, which is what we're all expecting in the next few days and weeks.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to get even uglier than it already is. Charlie, thank you.